request that we're asking for is a $4 increase, which would raise our current fee from $12 to $16 for a regular dog and from $60 to $80 for a kennel. I think it shows that we went longer with less and did what
7 years.
Yeah, since we've had a dog license increase. And a county similar size is pretty much at the same place we are. So I think that that's important.
To the best of your knowledge, was there any other attempts since 2004 to bring in an increase to a past Board of Commissioners that was not adopted?
Not that I am aware of.
Everett Gibson, Reagan's predecessor, discussed it briefly with a board prior to that. Was going to bring it in, he said, but he left the employ of the county prior.
I see. Okay. All right, thanks.
Now there was, what did we say, 2005? There was an increase in pound fees, which are completely different than the dog license fees. But I see no need for that at this. I kind of just outlined a few of the things that, and obviously you guys know the condition of our building. Prices are going up for everything, but we've got, the age of the building. We're looking at cage repairs, roof repairs, drainage system backups, furnace breakdowns, which I'll hit on a little bit in a minute. We've had some security system problems. We need to reseal the cages with paint, lighting issues. I mean, we've just been constantly, and these are things I know you've heard before. Both we've discussed them and some of the advisory board members have brought some of these concerns to you. Second point there is gas prices. I just did a little gas price comparison for you. I mean, obviously we're all feeling it at home anyways, but just to show you, I mean, we have essentially 4 vehicles on the road pretty much all day. So gas prices really take a big impact on our office. You can see that increase is significant there. And then there's also some things like educational programming, which I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I hope you guys have too, from some of our schools that we've really, that's a personal goal of mine, is to reduce the number of dog bites in children, make kids aware of dog safety. And we've spoken to over 700 students this year and have on the calendar more. So I think that that's a good thing, but we do give out educational materials to those kids. And that's an expense that we've never had before, but one I definitely think is worthwhile in pursuing. Obviously, due to the economy, we do not have enough homes for the number of dogs that we are receiving. Foreclosure rates have forced most people into housing that doesn't allow pets. And we're not the only ones feeling it. Humane societies, rescue groups all over the state are feeling it. It's just really been tough. And so we are exhausting a lot more of our resources on trying to find these dogs homes than we had been previously. Vehicle cost, I've brought those concerns to you before. You've seen our mileage in the past. We are just working with a fleet of vehicles that are just falling apart, and we are putting Band-Aid fixes on things to keep them running. We have, in a later paper you'll see here, a plan. We'd like to purchase some new vehicles and then be replacing the vehicle every year in the future, so our fleet stays young with low mileage, low maintenance. I think that's just the most practical for our department. With the answering service, that's a concern that we've all had. We've spoken in previous work sessions about the answering service. We kind of looked at those quotes that we were paying, in the $70 a month currently, and we definitely had heard enough of the complaints and seen enough of the issues that we wanted to change that, but that it was going to be a quite costly increase to do so. So that's something that we definitely want to look at for next year. And then equipment costs. We have things that are falling apart: scales, live traps, our firearms. The washer and dryer are continually broken. One thing that's not on there is a dishwasher. It's currently broken. Just things like that have not been replaced and need to be updated. As you can see, the salary is what we're looking at, and that does not change. I'm not planning on increasing staff or anything. Past, one of the things Mike and I have really talked about is nobody ever budgeted for dog food. Nobody did that.
Which I think is crazy.
So we never budgeted for. So Mike and I went through and did some of those things along with Kathy, my secretary. We went through and said, what are we getting that's donated, that if those donations stop, this office has to continue to function. We have to continue to feed dogs. We have to continue to clean cages. So you see an increase there, obviously, from the past. But we were going through trying to anything that, what do we need to continue going should this all stop tomorrow? And so things like cleaner. We spend $2,500 on disinfectant for the cages, which was never purchased before I got there. That Friends of Stark Pound donated to us, just out of the kindness of their heart. Well, they are struggling now. Their donations have gone down, obviously, and there's no money for them to be able to help us with those kinds of things. Laundry soap, that was always donated to us. Towels, things like that. Things that we've always had plenty of, and now we're starting to feel the hit. We've actually had to purchase dog food several times. The firearms, replacement firearms with trade-in and holsters. That's going to be about $2,400. That's a police officer price. I got that through Steve Swank of the advisory board. That was the best price I could find. It's through a company in Columbus that offers fabulous discounts. The guides have offered to use their uniform allowance, excuse me, to help pay for that, because that's something that they really feel needs to change. Some of the sights on our firearms are starting to wear. They need to be replaced. They're in that bad of shape. We talked about roof repairs and ventilation. There is a fundraiser currently going on for that, and hopefully they would raise that entire amount of money in order to fund that, but we don't know, and I'd like to be able to step up and say we need to fix these things once and for all. Painting estimates, they're approximately $10,000 for painting, and I've had a lot of reaction about that. Well, why are you spending $10,000 on paint? Well, it's not just cosmetic. Let me just say that. That is not the purpose at all. When you look at our cages, the bare concrete block is showing, and bacteria and viruses get in there because it's not sealed, and then I can't kill it when it's growing in there. So it's a disease problem. It's not simply just yes, it visually needs to look better, but that's not why it's important to me. Mats for cages, that's come up a lot. We've budgeted $1,300 for that. Were we to get an increase, that's what we would be doing. Once again, our cages that are up off the floor, after 30 years, they've started to take some wear. And the grates that are on them, we have problems with the little dog's feet falling through, things like that. It's one of the concerns of the advisory board that if we could get some kind of rubber mat to put on top of that it would be a little safer and more comfortable for them. Commercial washer and dryer, what we have now has been donated and is continually breaking down. We literally run the washer and the dryer from 8 till 4 every single day. So it's time to make an upgrade. Very much time. The veterinary room, which is something that we spoke about before, we had kind of taken a break on it to see what was happening with One of a Kind. Definitely a way we need to be moving. The relationship with One of a Kind isn't going to last forever, and they've already stated that their contract is up with us that we agreed to. I think it was a 90-day contract, something like that. And they can no longer come down and pick up the dogs. Same reasons we can't haul them there all the time because it's financially a burden. But we've worked out to get through the rest of this year that we're going to continue to use them. We're going to ask people to transport them there themselves. And then twice a month, I will personally take anybody who cannot get their dogs up there. On the second and last Tuesday of the month, I will transport any dogs up there. And they have agreed to that. So that's going to kind of hopefully get us through this year until we can afford to make some other changes with the spay-neuter program. We obviously want to make sure that stays a top priority because reducing the number of unwanted pets in Stark County is only going to help reduce our costs across the board. So that's important to us. One of the things that the advisory board and I have talked about, and would we have the funding needs to be done, is we need more exercise pens. When you guys were out visiting, I know you guys got to see those I think we have like 5 or 6 exercise pens out and back. Ideally, we would have 30 pens, one for each large dog, and they would spend all day outside, which would help with disease, stress, sickness, and air concerns. That's the idea. So the price that we've gotten on that is about $15,000. The concrete for inside of those is approximately $6,000. We need to make some changes in our exercise areas. We don't have enough to accommodate the dogs that we have, and that's important. The furnace. You'll notice there's not a price by the furnace. We have not been able to get one yet. K Company is currently working on it, but when I questioned our furnace because it broke down like 3 or 4 times at the beginning of this year, they're like, oh, well, they're in need of replace, they're old. So I kind of went back and revisited that. And there's two separate rooms that have furnaces in them in our building. There's a furnace room that takes care of the office and the upper portion, and they told me that furnace can make it probably 3 to 5 years. However, there's a double stack furnace unit in the back that takes care of the dogs. And apparently it was submitted to the previous dog warden 3 years ago that it should be replaced immediately, according to Kate. And then also is our personnel service schedule. I want to note that our union contract expires 7/2012, so I obviously did not know how much we were going to be paying our people in July of 2012. However, I calculated that in the past it had been a 42-cent increase, so I just went ahead and calculated that for you so you could see. I would assume we wouldn't give them more than a 42-cent increase inside.